biopsy and then, sorry, not how we usually start class. Didn't want that to be on recording. Okay, so yeah, so the best thing we can do is to learn Torah together. Good morning, good morning. Be'ezrat Hashem. Okay, we're back in Bereshis. Very, very exciting. I'm so happy. It's always so exciting to get back to the stories and, you know, to, I get like very... Okay, בסדר גמור. And also, you know, I wanted to tell you that I was listening to our shirim from Bereshis. Those were like, there were like 2 shirim that we had in the past 2 years. One was like mamish, you know, a week after October 7th, and I guess the door was locked, and there was like Hindi comes in at some point in the shir, and she says like the yeshiva is on lockdown, and I'm like, you know, I mean, it's a, you know, thank God we're here and not there. A lot of things have happened in between then and are still happening, but Baruch Hashem, you know, it's yeah, you see growth and you see progress and you see, you know, when you hear a share from 2 years ago, and also our relationship, Baruch Hashem, has developed and grown. So anyway, we should learn Torah together in good health for many more years to come. Amen. Okay, we are focusing. I have such a taiva to do like a whole year. I'm not sure if this is going to happen, but I was thinking like sometimes you need like a stepping stone to hold on to. And I was thinking like that we should do like a whole year of shirim of just the first pasuk of the parsha. Like that'll be like a theme, and maybe like some other level of like dimension will come out of like why the parshiyot start the way they start. And I don't know. That's where we are today. It is where I found the connection to give the shir today. So it did happen today. But I thought I'd just put that out there as like a maybe possibly an intention. Okay. Eila told us Noach ish tzadik tamim haya b'dorotav es ha'elohim hitalech Noach. So I have all the Rashis from the pasuk on here. So these are the descendants of Noach. Noach was a righteous man, perfect in his generation or generations. And how do you translate Et ha'elokim hitalech Noach? Well, I guess we'll see how Rashi translates it. Really, Noach followed Hashem's ways. I guess that's okay. That's how we'll translate it. Okay, what does Rashi say? Ela told us Noach ish tzaddik. About that part of the phrase, he says, Rashi says, Ho'il v'hiskiru siper b'shivcho. So it basically starts with praising, right? Praising Noach. It's a way of praising Noach. Shenamar zecher tzaddik livracha. Like it says that when you mention a person, it's like for praise. It's like as a blessing, right? So part of that is just we're mentioning Noach, and he was an ish tzaddik, so it's like a bracha for us just to mention him. And then Rashi says davar acher lelamedcha sheikar toldotehem shel tzaddikim ma'asim tovim. This is beautiful. So why does it say Ela toldos Noach? It should really say, it should go, what are toldos? Generations, right? It should be, but the names of Noach's sons are not actually given till the next pasuk. The next pasuk is V'yoled Noach shlosha banim et Shem et Ham ve'et Yafet. The truth is we had it at the end of Parshas Bereishis also, right? And then we have this weird pasuk in the middle. Ela told us Noach ish tzaddik, right? So it's not like that the toldot of Noach are just his sons. So Rashi says the toldot of Noach is really his good deeds, right? That's what we learn out from him. Okay, then we have this pasuk that is sticks in our brain, and this is kind of like what we're going to be a little bit of what we're going to be talking about today. Bedoratav. Why does it say bedoratav? Yesh mirabotenu dorshim oto l'shevach. That some people say that this is like a praise of Noach. They take this word and they doresh it to praise Noach. Kol sheken she'ilu haya bedor tzadikim haya tzadik yoter. That even if he had been in a like, imagine what a tzaddik he was in his generation of not such good people. Kal v'chomer, if he was surrounded by good people, right, then he would have risen to an even higher level. Okay, so that's one way of reading that word. He would have been an even bigger tzaddik. And there are some people that say that this is like a limitation, right? They explain this not to his credit. Lefi doro hayat tzaddik, right? According to his generation, he was tzaddik. Ve'ilu haya b'doro shel Avraham lo haya nechshav l'klum. But if he had been in the generation of Avraham, he wouldn't really have been considered, as important as he was in his generation. Okay, like compared to the people of his generation, he was a tzaddik, but compared to maybe other people in other generations, he wouldn't have been. But that feels very problematic. I always felt like that. Rashi felt, the way that we read out that Rashi, not that Rashi is problematic, but that the way that we understand that Rashi is problematic because the whole parsha is about him, right? And Hashem, Noach matzachen be'enei Hashem, right? Noach was found to be full of chen, and his name Noach is chen, literally, right? It's just the same letters. So there's something good about him. It's not just it's not just that because he was amongst tiny little people, he was great, but whatever, he wasn't really that great. We'll see what the Chassidus says.
He was great because they were that bad. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's one of the ways that it's explained exactly. Okay, and then the last Rashi, Et Elohim hitalech Noach. So we're going to start with this actually. Uba Avraham hu omer asher hitalachti lefanav. About Avraham, it says that like Avraham walked kilu like with Hashem, in front of Hashem, like from his own strength. That's where Avraham connected to Hashem. But here, Noach hayat tzarich sa'ad letamcho. Noach needed sa'ad, right? He needed support to he needed support to support him. He needed help to be supported. Aval Avraham haya mitchazek mehalech betzidko me'elav. Right? That Avraham strengthened himself with all of his own efforts, and Noach needed like support to stick to Hashem.
But also, it seems like Noah was asked to do something where Abraham, it was also a revelation of his own. So like, I don't know if like, I know I can't even realize, sorry, I have to renew my passport.
Oh, wow, you're already done?
Thank God.
Okay, amazing.
Anyway, but they were two different personalities.
For sure. And it's funny that we're constantly comparing Noah to Abraham, right?
Except that he withstood the criticism of his generation and who made fun of him.
Which one? Noah.
Yeah. Who made fun of him. He had the fortitude to do that.
Right. So I agree with you, right? I feel like, all these ways of like kind of, well, yeah, he was there, whatever. I don't really hold by that because I feel like you're absolutely right. Like he did something very hard. 100, over 100 years, he's building the teva, right? And every day, like you said,
it's a long time to take jokes from people.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
They were very bad. They were like so low at that point.
Right.
Abraham was already after that. There was a little difference.
I mean, look, like we're saying, I mean, they definitely are completely different people. Both of them withstood, against their generation. The question is, what was that pressure like? And then can we actually compare them, or should we just, let's just talk about Noah? And although, it's really Chazal who are comparing them, it's not us that are comparing them. Okay. But I think both of what you said is like, there's what to learn from Noah. Let's just put it that way. Okay.
I think if you take it further, you go further into halacha and everything, you're supposed to relate to the chachamim of your time.
Beautiful. And that's what it says, bedorotav.
It could be that people in other generations were better or they had different insights or anything, but the poskim of today are the ones that you have to listen to.
Yeah. We actually had, right? We had this in a shir about the you have to take it to the, what was the word? The shoftim, the shoftim of your time. Right, exactly. Because they understand what the issues are, right? It's so interesting that you said that, Sarah. I really feel like, there's a lot going on, right? There's a lot going on in our lives in this time period. And really in Eretz Yisrael, there's like a whole other world that is completely not happening in Chutz La'aretz, right? Like I heard Rav Rimon speak the other day. I mean, I listened online to Rav, but it was the other day. I wasn't there. But he's Kananahara, Be'ezrat Hashem. He should have the strength to keep on doing what he's doing. But he was telling the story. It moved me so deeply that first of all, he went to go have Shabbos with like 200 or so Nova survivors who want to start keeping Shabbos, and he's helping them he's giving them support, right? Sa'ad and tmicha, okay, these words, right? But also he told this story that I guess there was a kid in the audience whose cousin told him this story that there's a chayal in his unit and covered from head to foot in tattoos, and in one conversation, he basically pointed to like a space on his right arm, and he said like this is the only space that I have left, And the guy who was a frum soldier, right? He pointed to this chayal's whole other arm was blank, was empty, and he said, "What about this arm?" And the chayal said, "No, that arm's for tefillin." Right, the one that's tattooed from head to foot saved his one arm, like didn't tattoo that arm because that arm's for tefillin. And I feel like it's a flavor of being able to see the beauty of a Jew beyond what they look like, beyond, the labels and beyond the boxes and beyond the, and obviously there's complicated concepts that we have, that we address, but that where every mitzvah stands on itself, kind of, right? The Rebbe used to say to people, or the shluchim, he would send people out and they would say like, did you put on tefillin today? And, he was deeply criticized that who knows what that guy ate for breakfast? Who knows where that guy woke up? Who knows where that guy's going next? How could you put tefillin on an arm that, might be going into Burger King afterwards, right? And the Rebbe was like, no, every mitzvah stands on its own, shines on its own, like a diamond, right? And there's like a way of holding all this complexity that I feel like there are people in our generation who are able to see that and hold that beyond the cotness, the small-mindedness of, maybe previous generations or people in other places. And it's very deep, and it's so beautiful, and it's so essential, and it's so right now. It's like what's needed right now. And that's, I think B'Dorotav, Noach had a special something that had to happen in his generation. Beautiful. Okay, so I brought my favorite mashal from the Baal Shem Tov because it's brought down in reference to this idea that et ha'elokim hitalech Noach. Okay, Shamati omrim b'shem hamakubal ish elokim Rav Yisrael miMedjibush. You know who that is? The Baal Shem Tov. Yes, Rav Yisrael miMedjibush. Zecher tzadik livracha l'chayei ha'olam haba. Shesha'al lo ish echad me'anshav. Right, someone asked him, Ma ze shelifamim k'shaya adam davuk b'dvekes haborei. So what happened? Why is it that sometimes when a person is so connected to Hashem, v'yodea inish benafshe shekarov hu elav yisbarach shmo, and he feels that connection. He feels like I'm so close to Hashem. Ube'emtza dvekus nimtza lifamim shehu nifsak v'rachok me'aborei yisbarach. And sometimes it feels like all of a sudden, in the middle of this figure, like I'm doing all the things I'm in the middle of davening, and all of a sudden I feel like all of a sudden Hashem is very far from me. The connection stopped, and it's like I feel far, distant. Ki gam ze yachol ha'adam leida b'nafsho ki hu rachok me'makom baruch hu. And then that person feels like, oi, what happened? How did I have this? How all of a sudden is there this richuk? V'amar lo Baal Shem Tov shematzanu beinenu davar ze al derech mashal. That we find this in a mashal, and I've mentioned this before. I don't think we've ever read it in the actual text before. Right? When a father is teaching their child how to walk with his own feet, what does the father do? Right? He puts the son down, and facing him, okay, a few steps away. And he stretches out his arms and holds holds the hands or whatever, holds the belly, I don't know, of the baby, so that the baby doesn't fall. And the baby walks, being held onto by the father. But then once the baby is able to take like a step, right, then the father pulls away and goes, takes a step back. And every time the baby comes close, right, the father steps one more step away, right? And from this pattern, the baby learns how to walk, right? Because with every step that the baby takes, they gain balance, they gain coordination, they gain confidence, they gain literally muscles in their legs, right? If the father didn't pull himself back, if the father held on to the baby the entire time, the baby wouldn't have walked. That the baby wouldn't have, he would have walked just a little bit, that the father was helping, and not to the, the baby would have walked right to where the father was standing at the beginning, and so aval hashata kisholech aviv b'chol pam lachorav nimtza holech hatinok b'chol pam yoter. But because the father walks back, the baby walks more and more, takes more steps and more steps. Kach mitnaheg HaKadosh Baruch Hu im briotav. That's how Hashem behaves with us. When a person gets like super charged up, fired up, right, and feels so connected, then that would, it would lessen, right? Because it's like, it's just like one step. You've taken one step. And yeah, for right now, that one step is awesome, right? The first step that the baby takes by themselves is amazing. But chas v'shalom, that should be the only step that the baby takes, right? The father has to move back and the baby has to take more steps. And then one step is like no big deal, right? Now the baby's taken 3 steps and 4 steps. And that's so much more gewalt, right? And the baby's growing and the strength is growing. And that's the mashal that Hashem, at first we get excited about one thing, but then that one thing is not enough to make us feel connected. We have to grow. We have to do more. We have to say another bracha. We have to say, we have to learn with more intention, right? We have to go to a deeper shear. It's not enough to stay on the same level all the time. אבל השתה כשמתרחק ממנו בכל פעם, הוא צריך האדם להתחזק בדבקותו בכל פעם יותר ויותר. And a person has to learn how to strengthen himself more and more, right? That every time to try again and to reach further. כי בכל פעם כשרואה את עצמו רחוק מאיתו יתברך שמו, when we feel ourselves distance from Hashem, יצטרך להוסיף ולחדש בכל פעם דבקות יותר, מעיקרא ומכוח זה יתייחד ויתחזק דבקותו בכל פעם יותר. And with every step we take, it grows deeper and deeper, right? The dvekus grows actually more and more strong. So that's like a way that Hashem, and part of that is also like what's called hishtokakut, right? Hishtokakut means like yearning, right? If Hashem didn't pull away from, right? If the baby wants to get to the father. That's the whole point, right? That the baby, right? The baby's not just like, where am I going? Right? The baby wants that relationship. The baby wants, what happens? The baby takes 3 steps and we're like, yes, we gather up the baby and we get so excited, right? And then we put the baby back down. And now the baby, and then we back up more and the baby takes 6 steps and then, yes, the baby, right? So awesome. You did a great job. And that's basically what this is, right? That there's like a coming together. We feel the dvekus, we feel the excitement. And then Hashem's like, okay, now it's time for more. So I'm going to back up. And then you feel the richuk, you feel the distance. But part of the feeling of the distance, what that builds in us is what's called hishtokakut, right? Yearning, desire for that relationship, for that closeness.
You also strengthen your emunah, and that's the dvekus.
Absolutely.
Because, if you know you can do this step on your own now, but you know that there's a reason you can do it, it all comes together. Right.
You're now, literally you get strengthened with every time. Every time you come together, it's like an exercise that your muscles have now been strengthened, right? But part of that is that there's this other muscle called yearning, right? And the yearning causes us to take those steps forward, right? And that's emunah, really. Exactly like you're saying, right? I know that if that Hashem is there, I don't feel it right now. And the distance could be for 5 seconds, or could be for a year. It could be a long time. And the whole point is that we learn these things, right? We learn these things so that when we need them, we have them, right? Okay. I've been obsessed with this pasuk. I don't know why. All of a sudden, it stands out to me when I say Shemona Esrei. Right, we have this pasuk twice at the end of Shemona Esrei. Yiyu l'ratzon imrei fi v'hegyon libi lefanecha Hashem tzuri v'goli. Right, let it be your will. Yiyu l'ratzon, that imrei fi, that the words that come out of my mouth. I don't know why it's like touching me so deeply. Imrei fi v'hegyon libi lefanecha. Right, that v'hegyon libi lefanecha is like, the way that Higayon is like what you're used to, right? But it's also like the direction that my heart is facing, okay? It should be like towards you, because Hashem, you're my tzuri, you're my rock, v'goali, and my salvation, right? My redeemer, exactly. And I feel like this is this in a pasuk from Tehillim, right? Meaning, I always say there's like we often talk about on ways. I often give this analogy that, right, you go and you look like what's going to be the next, what does the map look like ahead, right? And then you press that magic button, recenter. Yes, on Google Maps or on Waze, whatever, right? Recenter. That's what I feel like this is. V'hegyon libi lefanecha, right? It's a recenter button. Yes, like I want my, I think it's so interesting. Like when I'm traveling with Americans, it's always like we have to face east. We have to face east. So from Poland, the truth is Israel's south. It's not east, right? So Americans are so used to facing east, and then when you're in Israel, kal v'chomer, it's not just like that direction. The closer you are to Yerushalayim, the more specific you have to be, because it's not just facing Yerushalayim. You're in Yerushalayim. You have to face the Beis Hamikdash, right? So you have to vehegyon libi lefanecha. You have to recenter. You have to aim. You have to be aimed correctly. And it's like the baby, right? Like if the baby starts walking off to the side, he's not going to get to the father. So you have to have your eyes, I guess, but really your heart, your eyes of your heart, right, on the place that you want to center it. And then every step that you take is gets you closer to there automatically, because that's where your heart is facing. That's where you're facing. Just love that idea.
Shושana, I wanted to say something about the difference between Abraham and Noah.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody I never thought about it except for this year. Abraham started his life with a dilemma. He saw the Psalim and he had to make a decision whether he wanted to live that way or he wanted to change and go in a different direction. We don't get that feeling about Noah. In other words, Noah seemed to be fine where he was. Mm-hmm. We don't know anything about him. But with Abraham, we know that from the beginning, you talked about he stuck a coot. I think from the beginning, Abraham was looking for something because he didn't like what he had in his life. And that makes a big difference.
Abraham Ivri, right? Ivri, Ever, was on the other side. And he felt that, right? Right, it's interesting.
But he had to make that decision even before God spoke to him. That's why God saw him, because he saw that he was on the other side. Noah wasn't.
You're right, Noah, and that's like the chen in a way. He was like, okay, I'm fine. I'm gonna do this. They're doing that. Whatever. I'm doing this, and that was his. On some level, chen has this also connotation of like shalva, like I'm at peace with. There's like this, right? It has that like feeling. It has that remez in it. Chen is like just inner peace. Exactly. So you're right. Yeah, beautiful. All right, let's do the Noam Elimelech. The truth is I had like 5 different pieces that I kept on switching in and out from this shir, about like how Noach felt about himself and how, all of these things. But so I left the Noam Elimelech, and we'll see. Hopefully it will be the thing that we needed. Okay, Eila told us Noach. Okay, this is what right? It's about this pasuk. Okay, Nira Li. Dihine ha'adam ha'osek ba'avodat haborei yisbarach v'yitaleh b'chol ma'asav. That a person, it seems to me, I love when they start it like that. It seems to me that a person who is constantly trying to serve Hashem, right? Then they rise up. They're lifted with everything that they do. Okay, and again, that's that idea. V'hegyon libi lefanecha, right? I'm constantly trying to use whatever is in front of me to serve you, Hashem. That's what he's going to say. Dahainu, afilu b'dvarim hagashmiim, kamo achila v'shtia, right? Even when we're talking about things that are physical, like eating and drinking, shochel v'shoteh b'kedusha, al kol panim b'chavana, lidchot et hapsolet v'lahalot et haruchaniyot shabo, right? That every time a person eats and drinks, there is a way of eating and drinking where the point is to, right? I think we talked about this once before, maybe when we talked about the matzah, right? That Hashem's energy is in everything. And when you eat, there's 2 things that I want to say, two ways that this can come out. One is like a little bit more Kabbalistic, and one is a little bit more just like, I don't know, easy to connect to. Okay. So if we say that, the cookies on the table over there have, everything, obviously, but let's just use the cookie as an example. Okay. I'm going to eat this cookie. First of all, what am I going to do? Make a bracha. Okay. So that's the first kodem kol. Yes. I make the bracha and I'm thanking Hashem for it, okay? And then I take a bite of the cookie. So I've already, I'm already eating from a different place. But from there, I'll go to the more connective one first, right? I can say, okay, now I'm going to use the energy from this cookie to come to a Torah shir, to go and, call someone that needs to be called, right? To smile at my children, to smile at my husband, to smile at my neighbor that I don't get along with so well, right? I'm gonna use this cookie. I'm gonna use the energy from this cookie to do good things. Okay, so that's already making the eating of the cookie into something holy. There's an even more Kabbalistic idea that when I'm eating the cookie, why am I eating the cookie? What am I trying to get out of the cookie? I'm trying to get the Hashem's energy. That I know that really Hashem's energy is in that cookie. And it looks like flour and sugar and fat and whatever, okay? But that's not why I'm eating it. I'm not eating it for just for the flavor. I'm eating it because by eating it with this bracha, I am like releasing that energy to be used for something good. That's the more Kabbalistic, right? It's really the same idea, but one just has the more sort of Kabbalistic underpinnings, okay? Which is totally different than saying, haliteni na me adon mazeh, right? Pouring the soup down your throat because you're just, eating like an animal eats, right? Just to eat. Actually, an animal eats dafka for a purpose to stay alive. We sometimes eat just because it looks good, yeah? And we're feeding our taste buds and we're not feeding our neshama. But there is a way of eating, and not to put any pressure on anyone, right? But there are people that strive to, consistently eat like this. This is like a very holy way of eating. Hashem made us that we need to eat. But do we need to eat because it tastes good, or do we need to eat because we need the energy and because we're, going after the right? In Hasidus, it teaches that the only reason it looks good to us is because of the kedusha in it. But we get sidetracked. We get like distracted by the taste. And it's really, in many books of Hasidus, it talks about eating like a milchama, a war. It's a war of eating because it's really a big yetzer hara for us these days. In other generations, it wasn't as big of there wasn't as much plenty. And people really did eat just to survive. And then it's not a milchama, like this is what I have, this is what I'm eating, right? But now, Baruch Hashem.
And everything could have been just take vitamin pills all
right,
the time.
Right.
Hashem made the food to be
right,
attractive to
exactly,
us
so that we could work on this midah. Really, that's really what it's right. And there is it goes into hate. Like there's no holds barred. Like it's not like you obviously with we already have limitations in terms of kashrut. But when something is kosher, there's a holy way of eating everything, right? Okay. So he's already talking. So that's what the Noam Elimelech was talking about. Okay. To litzchot et hapsolet means like to push off just eating it for physicality, and la'alot et haruchnis shabo. So I'm going to use the energy to do good things. Azai b'chol pam she'oleh u'ba b'bchina acheret yitera ze nikra b'shem dor. Okay. So he's a very, very interesting way of reading this pasuk. He basically says every time we do that, every time we increase our desire to connect to Hashem, every time we use something in this world in a way of serving Hashem in a kedusha way, we rise up a level, and he calls those levels a door. That's called going into a new generation. It's a very interesting way of reading it. Okay, that a bechina is really, bechina means like an aspect of, but it also means no, that's bechira. Bechina means like a level. On some, right? One way of translating it is a level. So you get to a new level, and that new level is called a door. It's called a generation. That's another way of saying level. That every time the way that you used to behave is called a generation. And if we don't uphold, if we fall from that aspect, let's say I I was like, it's exactly like what the Baal Shem Tov was talking about, right? I was davening on such a level, and then I felt this like richuk, this distance. So now I'm in a different level. Okay? You read a tzorech aliyah, right? It could be a going down for the purpose of going up, but the level, the word that the Noam Elimelech is using for level is door, generation. You're in a different generation. Okay? Imagine like, like a kid who is like wise beyond his years, right? So then, he sits at a table with adults, and let's say this is like a really, really wise, smart kid. The kid says something really amazing, and all the adults at the table are like, wow. So in that moment, that kid is like in that generation, right? And let's say the kid now goes outside and goes to play with his friends, right? Which is really matim, right? It's really appropriate. But now he's in that generation. So that's how the Noam Elimelech is reading this. It's like, okay, we grow, and now I'm in this generation, right? Sometimes we fall, and now I'm in this generation.
I thought it totally opposite. I was thinking from the point of that if you do something to connect and you keep going in the
well, that is what he's saying, but he's also talking about that it's possible to fall.
No, but meaning that then it's like a generation because your generation continues. But if you distance yourself and you start to distance and more, then you assimilate, then your generation kind of like
that's a macrocosmic way of looking at it for sure. So interesting. Do you ever hear the song? So fun. I don't even know why. Someone mentioned it the other day. I can't remember why I'm thinking about this, but there was a group called Safam. Do you remember them?
Yeah.
In like the 80s?
Yeah.
They were like a conservative, whatever, American group. And they
play their songs many times.
Yeah, so there's a song called I don't know, it's about America. It's about the Jews that came to America. And I used to teach it. I was obsessed with the song. I used to teach it in my I taught Jewish history in high school before I got married. And it basically goes through like these generations, right? That the family came to America in 1904. I remember the lyrics, right? Fleeing persecution and the army of the Tsar. Reached Ellis Island alone and half insane, and I left there with a different name. And then he goes into, right? And then if it wasn't for my people, I don't know what I'd do. I was wrapped in this Jewish community, right? But then the next generation, doesn't want that so much and wants to, be like everybody else and basically leaves, and then the generation after that is like very assimilated. But then it comes back around again. And he says like, it's been so many years, my grandchildren are grown, and the one who is a doctor even keeps me in his home. He says to me, my Zeta, when the children learn to speak, Abyssal Yiddish, you should teach them. And he says, there's so many times I feared that all was lost. We had come so far so fast that I wondered what the cost. But now I see my father's world begin to rise in my great-grandchildren's eyes. So I get the chills from that song. It's like, so, right? That's exactly it. So that is for sure. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. There is a generational thing for sure. But microcosmically in our own lives, it's also this idea of levels, okay? V'zeu dor holech v'dor ba. And he says, this is the idea of, I think I repeated the same paragraph. Yeah. V'zeu dor holech v'dor ba. Perusho kanal, the meaning as above. Shezen nofel mibchina rishona, shaya minaheg ad hena. The person falls from the place that they had been operating from until now. Habchina azot holchot mimenu. That ze dor holech. And when a right, the pasuk is from Kohelet, okay? That when this level like leaves a person, it's called a dor holech. V'dor ba, and right, and then a new generation comes. Gam ken kanal. שבא לבחינה אחרת ואמר כתוב אך צריך שיהיה באופן והארץ לעולם עומדת. פירוש שהארציוס, okay, so what happened? גם כן כנ"ל. Let me go back up one line. שבא לבחינה אחרת, that right, a person leaves that generation, they come to a different generation, meaning a different level. ואמר כתוב אך צריך שיהיה באופן, but it has to be in a way of והארץ לעולם עומדת, that the land, the aretz stands forever. Perush ha'artzius, dahainu hagashmius, meaning the artsiest, the physicality, the gashmius, right? Tzarich laha'amida sheyehe mitnaheg bahem b'kedusha kanal. It has to be like how we have to approach it. Basically, is to deal with it with kedusha. V'hainu leolam omedet rotzel lomar leolam ha'elyon. That we stand it to the leolam, meaning we stand it, we raise it up to a higher level. Okay, he's just playing with the wording, and he's reading into this pasuk that this is how we deal with gashmias. How do we deal with gashmias? We leolam omed it. We omed it to a higher olam. Okay, that's what he's saying. Yes, does that make sense? We stand it, we bring it, we hold it up to a higher world. Okay, and that's how we raise it up. A person that behaves this way comes every time to a new level. That a person who's not doing this never gets to the next level because they're not trying, right? They don't have the hegyon libi lefanecha. They're not really trying. They're not aware of this. They're not conscious of this. Okay, this is an intentional way of behaving, an intentional way of living. That I want all my actions to be a part of my growth process, right? I want this car ride to be, to take me to the many opportunities. I was talking about my road rage, right? So the many opportunities that I have to not cut people off and to let people in and to not honk my horn and to, practice patience, right? So I can try to do that, or I can just be like, whatever, there's a car ride, But what it's saying actually about Noah, okay, so let's go back to, right?
But I think also that if he had to sit there and build the teva, like every time a person came and asked him what he was doing, and he had to explain it,
right?
It
That's called
him.
Dor Lador, right? Yeah. That's called, right? Midora Tav, Bidora Tav. Like he kept on going, right? Ela told us, Noach ish tzadik tamim haya Bidora Tav. He kept on trying to raise the level of what door he was in. That's what it means. That you're absolutely right. Every time someone came and asked him, and he said, there's a Hashem in the world, right? And Hashem told me to do this. And, everyone should try to be better and, improve their behavior. That was him being an ish tzadik tamim and going to the next level. Yeah. Because, how do you think he felt like the 37th time he had to say that? Right? It's like the first time, maybe he was, okay, I'm going to do this, right? And then maybe they were like falls and rises, but that's the whole idea, that he kept on trying to reach a new generation. Yeah. I think it's a beautiful way of reading that. V'zeu dor lador. It's another way, another way of looking at those words. Perush adam harotzeh latzet v'lavo midor lador. A person that constantly wants to go from generation to generation. Dahainu b'china leb'china kanal yishavach ma'asecha. That's from Ashrei, right? Dor lador yishavach ma'asecha ugvuratzecha yagidu. Yes, everybody's familiar with that pasuk, right? So a person that wants to grow from door to door, yishavach ma'asecha. His deeds are praiseworthy. Perush tzarich lekadesh, but also Perush tzarich lekadesh atzmo af begashmius kol kach ad shegam ma'asav hagashmiim yishbechu laHashem yisbarach baruchu. That yishavchu, right? That it's basically saying, like, when we read that pasuk, right? Lador, a person that's growing from generation to generation, his deeds are praiseworthy. But also, why is he growing from generation to generation? Because he's using his deeds as a way of Shevach Hashem. It's beautiful. It's like another dimension of that. V'zehu Noach ish tzadik tamim haya b'dorotav. Right? That's what it means, that Noach was a ish tzadik, a pure tzaddik. Haya b'dorotav. He was in his generations. Perush b'chol b'chinotav shayabo. Every level that he was at, b'chol pam haya tzadik tamim bahem. Every level he tried to behave like a tzadik tamim on that level. V'kol zeh haya lo mechamad she'et ha'elokim hitalech Noach. And all this was because of this idea that Hashem walked him, right? Hashem enabled him to walk with Hashem. רוצה לומר שכל מעשיו לא היו רק לשמו הגדול, רוצה לומר שכל מעשיו לא היו רק לשמו הגדול יתברך, right? That they were for nothing except to make Hashem's name great. לכן הלך בכל פעם מבחינה לבחינה. And that's why he kept on growing.
You could almost say it's not definition.
Yeah, in a way. You could say that. Yeah. It's such a different way of reading that pasuk, no?
But you know what? I think also like after getting such a thing, and if you look at them, so who were like party, maybe in the army, but not like we felt like okay, they were like a big leader. And now they went through such a journey, but all they keep telling everybody is, no, I wanted to put on tefillin, I wanted to say Shema.
Right.
And I feel like everybody has their leadership and their thing in them. And I feel like they're the lessons that we need right now.
Yeah. 1,000 billion%. I mean, there's this interview, on YouTube, not interview, a conversation. There's this Rav, he's called the Yanuka. Anybody know him? That fascinating person. I think he's like in his late 30s. And he just is like, came kind of seemingly out of nowhere a little bit. Just a person who's like constant flow of giving over Hashem's words. Like my husband just started listening to him. He got really into, there's shiurim online. He just opens his mouth and starts speaking. And it's very, very, it's all like he's fluent in all of Torah, all of, and it's just like this constant flow. And apparently he had a very strong relationship with Segev, what's the last name? Kalfon, right? Segev Kalfon's father, that kept on going to him for chizuk. I guess they met one time and it was just like a very, they connected very, very deeply. And you should really watch the whole thing. It's quite amazing. But basically now that Segev is home, they FaceTimed the Yanuka. And he was like, oh, I'm so happy to see you. Like you can't believe your father's so amazing. Your father is like, he's like a malach. He did anything he never stopped believing. And for 1 second that you were going to come home, he loves you so much. Whatever. But he also says to him, he says, I see on your face that you've seen Hashem. I see in your eyes, you are lit up, and you have seen the face of Hashem. And it doesn't even say kav yachol. He says your eyes have seen Hashem. And that's I mean, why? Ani lo ma'amin. It's like it's actually it's really amazing. He says, actually, Rav Shlomo talked about this in shul on Friday night in our shul. And my husband had been watching these videos from the Yanuka, so it like all came together. He says that he had told Segev's father to learn the parshiot of Yosef and Yaakov, that and that would help him to continue to have emunah, that there was going to be a reunion, and that it's not what it seems, and all these different things. And he starts saying, like, your father's so amazing. I told him to learn. He said, yeah. I learned Parshas Vayechi, Vayigash, like all these different, and then Segev goes, why? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. There's one thing that they used to show me all the time. One sidra. He said, I never heard the story of Yosef and Yaakov. Can you imagine? Right? This is the generation. He grew up in Israel, right? He never heard the story of Yosef and Yaakov. The only thing that the mechablim, the terrorists, would show him was this Arabic version of that story. He said that they showed him a sidra, a series, right? All about they tell it slightly differently, but still it's the story of Yosef and Yaakov. And he said, that's the only thing I saw in 2 years. And they would show me this sidra. It's crazy, right? So again, this person, the Yanuka, is really like a really amazing flow of holiness into this world. But what he said, I mean, that's exactly what you just said, indeed, that we have no idea. We really have no idea. And Dafka, like, this is what we talk about all the time. We talk about how, I was actually sitting at Shel Shudis, and a friend of mine said this. He said, we go around, we give Divrei Torah, and he said, the beginning of his Dvar Torah was Noach sitting in his therapist's office. He's 100 years old, you know, and he says, you know, all my friends are having babies. And, you know, then Noach goes back, you know, 100 years later, he goes back. It's been 100 years. All my friends had babies already, you know. Can you imagine? Noach didn't have a kid until he was 500 years old, right? 500 years old. And Rashi says, right, Chazal say, why didn't he have a kid until that? Why did Hashem make it that long? So that his kids would be, so that his kids wouldn't be Rishaim, essentially. That they would be young enough still to be influenced by Noach as the Mabul is coming, and therefore they'll all be saved. Right? So can you imagine 400 years? Noach is thinking, this is a punishment from Hashem. Or, you know, why can't I be like everybody else? Why can't I have kids like, you know? And really the whole time it was a bracha from Hashem that Noach shouldn't have the tsar that his kids are turning rotten and that they're going to be killed in the Mabul, chas v'shalom, right? It's like a crazy thing. And we talk about this all the time, right? That something, it looks bad, but it's not. And I mean, halavai, Hashem should show us clearly how it's not. You know, we should be able to see it with our own eyes, but we also have to have emunah. That's called emunah. That we hear it, it looks bad, it seems bad, but it's not. That's called emunah. It's not. I believe that it's not. I believe that it's good. Okay, and I'm saying this from a different place. Yes. Okay, I believe that it's good. Okay, Yismach Moshe. Okay, the Yismach Moshe was the predecessor of Satmar. Okay, I actually went to his kever last year. I think I might be going again. Oh, I'm not going to be here next week. My last trip for a little while, Bezrat Hashem, to Budapest and Prague. So I'm going to Reb Shaila of Karastir, Bezrat Hashem. Feel free to send me your names or write them on a piece of paper, and I'll put it. You know, you can pass around a piece of paper right now, and everybody should write their names. And I'll put it Bezrat Hashem by the tzaddik.
How can we join you?
Bezrat Hashem. Next year. I want you to come with me. Bezrat Hashem. Okay, Yismach Moshe. So he says, it just says something. It's just very nice. It's just very short and very nice. He says, "Eta Elokim hitalech Noach." Right. This is the part of the pasuk that we're kind of focusing on. Okay. Peirish Rashi shayat tzarich sa'ad letomcho, that Noach needed help. He needed support. He needed to feel Hashem's hands, you know, holding him up. Hine en l'cha pasuk she'en kol guf. I love this. Hine en l'cha pasuk she'en kol gufei Torah o avodat luyin bo. There is no pasuk where the whole world isn't hanging on it, right? What does that mean? We learn something from every pasuk, okay? We can learn everything from every pasuk. It's such a beautiful way of saying it. V'kan lamadnu orchot chaim she'en HaKadosh Baruch Hu ozer. That we learn this like way of life, right? That Hashem doesn't help, rak laha'ozrin la'atzmam Hashem yisbarach tomchan, except people who also help themselves. Okay, that Hashem tomchan means, right? It doesn't mean like, it means like support, right? Not do it for you, but support you while you do it. That's what it means. Yes. The haremez lazeh, and the hint to this is from David HaMelech, alav shalom, shekol tfilotav haya hakol tzarich gavoha, that his tefillah, everything is like on a very high level. Ustam Yeshua sheshoel hainu b'milei dishmaya, and I don't know why he says stam Yeshua, right? Like, I'm not sure that any Yeshua is stam, but like, hey, whatever, he needed to be saved, you know, 1,000,000 times David HaMelech needed to be saved, right? So every Yeshua he asks for in these like very, very high words. Amar, Yeshuatcha Elokim tisagveni, that your salvation, Hashem, should tisagveni, should like wrap me up, right? It should right, tisagveni, yes, is like it should. I keep on just thinking of like to wipe something up, no? Tisagveni, like a magav, like a, I don't know. I think it means I should be wrapped up in it. Right, Segev. Oh, that's cool. We were just talking about. Okay. Sarah's going to look it up for us. Tisagveni. It's from Tehillim. We could look it up in Tehillim also. Okay, but anyway, Beharoshe Tevos hu iti. That Hashem should, the Yeshua that I feel from you, Hashem, it's also iti, with me. Ratzah lomar she'en lekavot bazeh haYeshua meHashem yisparach levad. We don't. Tisagveni, back me up. Okay, we could do that. We could do that. Like holding me from behind, supporting me. Okay, I think it still goes with wrapping. Should be wrapped around me. Okay, but anyway, we should not lekavot. We shouldn't hope that Hashem's gonna like save us by Himself, right? That's not what we hope. We don't like lay down in the middle of the street and say, Hashem, lift me up. You know, like Pas Hashem, right? Ki habachira netuna la'adam. Choice is given to a person. Rak, I love this. Habal taher misayin lo, right? Everyone who comes for a good thing, misayin lo, they are helped, right? A person that's coming to do good things, they are helped. Behaven, understand. So be'ezrat Hashem, the other piece that I took out, which I'll just like make a remez to, is just that part of Noach's problem actually was, and the way who is it? I almost put it in the Aptarav. He says that it's not really Chazal that's judging Noach l'gnai. It was Noach himself that was judging himself l'gnai. That Noach himself said, "Oh, I'm a tzaddik because I'm in this generation. But if but I haven't even yet begun to serve Hashem. Like in other generations, my service would be considered as nothing." And it was like his own sort of like lack of self-confidence, or his own, another way of saying it is his own humility, right? Humbleness that really was, that's like a different way of reading that pasuk. But so why did I want to say that? I wanted to say that because I think part of this is part of what we can learn from Noach is the importance of believing in your own emunah. That's what I want to say, right? That Hashem is there. Hashem is there. That's a fact, okay? The question is, how much do we believe that, right? How much do we believe in our belief that Hashem is there? And so I want to give Saul a bracha that, it's like there's the background. There's Hashem is in the background, right? He's always in the background. And we should have the strength to know that He is literally holding us up, or if He's not holding us up, it's because He's waiting for us to take those steps towards Him, and then He'll catch us again. And Bezrat Hashem, we should really have the schus to keep on trying to hegyon libi lefanecha, to redirect ourselves to this direction, to take these steps in this direction, that we should constantly be seeking to feel Hashem's arms around us.
Amen.
That's Bezrat Hashem.
I was going to pass around a piece of paper.
Yeah, please write your names on it.
Tishka baby, if you're thinking of the back, it's almost like saying, "I've got your back."
Yeah, it is like that. Yeah. I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna see how it translates it in Tehillim. Just see that for a second.
Do it with your English, with your mother's name, or
my mother's name. Yes, Adel. Aleph. Oh, sorry, your mother's name. Sorry. If you want to, I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to put it in the box. Okay. So there's a box by the kever, and I'm just going to put it in. Okay. So you can write as many names as you want. The only thing is that we're going to start the next class. So, wait, what am I doing here? Oh, I'm looking up. Thank you.
Yes.
What's Samach Tet?
69.
Keeps me safe. You, oh God, keep me safe. Okay. Interesting. So the full pasuk is Ani v'choev Yeshuascha Elokim tisagveni. I'm lowly and in pain. Your help, oh God, keeps me safe. Right. Yes.
It's my 7 houses of my 7 children.
Did you write the names yet?
Oh, can I see it?
Oh, it's not finished yet.
Wow, it's so beautiful. It's so happy.
Yeah. Thank you.
Like flowers.
Oh, the flowers are my grandchildren.
No, I'm taking the women's league.
Oh, the little one.
And I must have stolen last year and a half ago.
Like your great grand.
Yeah, I have great grandchildren.
I was with them on like in Poland.
That is a cool idea.